So this is lesson 4.5a in elementary algebra, multiplication with polynomials. Multiplication is always so much fun. A lot more fun than adding and subtracting and dividing, so this is not going to give you too much trouble, I don't think. But when we have something like this, and we're asked to multiply it by a whole bunch of stuff in the parenthesis, most of you don't have too much trouble with that because you use what is called the distributive property, where you take this and you multiply it by this, then you take it and multiply it by that, and then you take it and you multiply it by that. So let's go ahead and do that. 3x squared times 2x squared. Remember, you can multiply anything. So 3 times 2 is 6. X squared times x squared is x to the 2 plus 2, which is 4. Then we take this times that, and we get 3 times 4 is 12. X times x, or x squared times x, is x to the 2 plus 1. And then we multiply this times this, and we get 15, and there's nothing to multiply the x by, so we get that. Alright, so pretty straightforward, not too bad. Now we run into what is called the multiplication of binomials. Binomials are things that look like that with two terms in them. So in this case, a 3x and a 5. And let's say that we want to multiply it by this. We use what is called the FOIL method, F-O-I-L, in FOIL. And you've probably done this before, is the first terms. These are the outside ones. These are the inside ones. And these are the last. Okay, so the way this works is we multiply the first numbers times each other. This one times that one. So those are the first two numbers in each of the binomials. So when we multiply those, 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared because it's 1 plus 1. Alright, so that takes care of the first. The outside says that we're going to multiply the outside numbers. This number here and this number here are outside. They're on the far ends. So 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Don't forget to multiply by the sign in front. So it's 3x times negative 1 and gives you a negative or a minus 3x. So we've done the outside. Now let's look at the inside numbers, which would be the inside numbers right here. Negative 5 times 2x is going to give you negative 10, and then we just tag the x on there. So we've done the inside, and now we're going to look at the last numbers. This number here and this number are the two last numbers there. So we've got negative 5 times negative 1, and negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so we have 4 terms. We will always have 4 because there are 4 letters in the word FOIL. A lot of times these two numbers here will combine. So we need to look at those before we're done. So we have a negative 3x minus 10x. So you can do it as negative 3x plus negative 10x if you would like, if it makes it easier. And when you add numbers with the same sign, you add the numbers and put that same sign on your answer. So then we go ahead and finish by connecting this plus 5 right there, because we can't do anything with it. So that right there is my answer when I multiply 3x minus 5 times 2x minus 1. Alright, so let's try one more of these. Example 3. 2x plus 3 times 5x minus 4. Okay, so we're going to do it without putting all of the information down there for you to look at and just see if you can follow me. First means 2x times 5x. Those are my first terms. Outside means 2x times negative 4. Inside means 3 times 5x. Last means positive 3 times negative 4. There's my F, O, I, L. Alright, so now what can I combine? I can combine these two. Not always, but in a lot of cases you can combine those middle two. So I have 10x squared. I've got a negative 8x plus 5x, which gives me a plus 7x minus 12. And I am done with that one. Now there's a second way of doing these, multiplying these two binomials, and it's called the column method. And rather than writing the problem like this and doing the FOIL method, we do what's called the column method. So what we're going to do is we're going to write them above each other and multiply just like you would multiply 32 times 26. Alright, so what do you do first when you multiply? You take this times this. And we're going to do that over here. We're going to take this times this. And we're going to get plus 6. Always when you do the column method, make sure that you include the sign, whether it's a plus sign or a minus sign in front of your number. So what do you do after you do 2 times 6? You multiply this times this, right? And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to multiply this, 2x, times 2. So in that diagonal. So 2x times 2 is 4x. I'm going to put a plus sign in front of that. Alright, looking back over here, what do we do after we do this times this? Alright, let's see, we got a 12, carry the 1, 18, we got a 19. Okay, what's the next step? We multiply this times this, and where do we put the answer? Below the 9. So 2 times 2 is 4, and we put it here. We're going to do the same thing here. This times this at the angle, and put it under here. Okay, and last we're going to take, we did that times that and got 4. Now we're going to take 3 times 2 and get 6. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take this times this, and we're going to get 6x squared, and we'll put a plus sign there. Alright, what do we do at this point? We add and get that for an answer. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add 6. 4x plus 9x is 13x. Oops, got to keep the plus sign there, and nothing is added to that. And we get that answer right there. Now if we were to do that using the FOIL method, we would get the exact same answer. So it doesn't matter which way you do that, but it is helpful to know both of them, because this next one we're going to do expects you to be able to do this column method, because the column method makes life a whole lot easier when you have some problems that are a little bit trickier. Gosh, one at a time. Alright, so let's look at example 4. They give us 2x plus 3, and they're multiplying it by 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, you can do something kind of like the FOIL method. And the way that works is you multiply this times that, times that, times that. Then you multiply this times that, times that, times that. Okay, so that's kind of like the FOIL method, only you're just making sure you're multiplying this times everything in here, and this times each one of those in there. Or you can use the column method, which I prefer, and I put the longest one on top and the short one on bottom, and I multiply those and get 3. Then I multiply these and get negative 6x. Then I multiply those and I get 9x squared. Then I go down to the bottom and I multiply these two. And again I put my plus sign there. Then I multiply those two. Then I multiply those. Now I add. Nothing to add to that 3. I can add those two. I can add those two. And nothing to add to that. And that's my answer. Okay, so what I would suggest doing is when you're doing your homework, come back to this example at about on the second slide here to make sure that you can do these according to the column method, or if you need to look on page 261 to look at the column method, do that. But it's important for you to get that. Okay, so the next video will be over some more examples of this.